All right. So again, when you assume, not great things happen in this class. So, number one rule of geometry, I'm going to say that a bunch. What's the number one rule of geometry? That's me telling you, you assumed and you shouldn't be assuming. There are some things you can assume, and I actually don't even like it. It's not really assuming, but you can conclude. Anytime we talk about a word line, it's straight. Okay? When I draw a line, I'm not the best artist. My lines may not always be perfect, but they're straight. Okay? So you can assume lines are straight. They are. Next, you can assume betweenness of points, meaning if I have a point here and a point here, let's say A and C, is B between A and C? Yeah. Yes, you can assume that. That is true. Okay, you're not having to it's in another dimension. That's not the case, okay? B is between. You can assume that. Collinear, coplanar. Are these points on the same line? You can assume that. Okay, collinear, coplanar. So a lot of times when you're doing things, I'm going to have you flip to this page so you know what you can and can't do. Intersection of lines. If you see two lines like this intersecting, you can assume they cross right here. Again, some people are like, but Miss Olivares, what if they're not actually crossing? Look up. What if they're not actually crossing? What if they're in different, planes and different dimensions type thing? No, if on paper, if it looks like they're crossing. I'm not going to do that to you. I'm not going to put them over here where they're not crossing. All right. And then relative location. If I tell you, is point A inside this triangle, can you assume that? Yes. Okay. If I ask you, hey, is point B outside, exterior? Yes, you can assume those things. That is all that you can assume in this class. On the right-hand side are very common things that people want to assume that you cannot. For instance, you cannot assume measures of geometric figures, including if they're congruent or relative to size. For instance, I want you to draw what I'm drawing, please. Can I assume that AB is smaller than BC? But it looks smaller. But I could very well do this to you. Is that nice? No. Is that fair? No. But could it happen? Yeah. Sometimes you're going to see in this class, we use the exact same picture for every problem. And because we use maybe I'll use the same picture, the numbers are going to change. Just because this looks smaller doesn't mean it is. Same way, can I assume that B is in the middle? You cannot assume midpoint. So you cannot assume it's in the middle unless you see tick marks. The only way that you can assume things are in the middle or things are congruent is if you see tick marks. So I'm going to write that down. Or numbers. Only if you see tick marks or numbers can you assume. But if you don't see tick marks and you don't see any numbers, you cannot assume. Perpendicular lines. Can I assume that these, or a right angle, that this is 90 degrees? Can I assume that these form a right angle? No. You cannot assume it's a 90-degree angle unless, what does it have to be 90 degrees? Unless it has a little box. So all of these things in this column, you cannot assume unless I give you some extra information in the picture, like tick marks, like the little box. What about parallel lines? Can I look at these and assume these lines are parallel? No. You don't know if they're never going to touch. Again, unless they add an extra arrow in the middle. If there's an extra arrow in the middle, sometimes it'll look like this, what I just drew. Y'all look up real quick. Sometimes the arrow will be filled out like this. If there's extra arrows in the middle, then that means they're parallel. But if there's not extra arrows in the middle, they're not. You don't know. You don't know. And then last but not least, is this a square? Is that a square? We don't know. We cannot assume it is a square. So if you see a box like that, a shape like that, Samuel, right? If you see a shape like that, you cannot assume it's a square. Again, unless it has tick marks to tell you all four sides are the same. These are the things that you cannot assume. And you will only know these are true if there's extra information. So now we are going to apply what we just learned. Practice number 1. Please look at your picture. What does this symbol right here mean? And what does that symbol on number 1 mean? Line K is, what was that? Perpendicular. Everybody make that a little bit bigger. And if you don't know what it means, please write perpendicular. 90 degrees. Samuel, I'm going to zoom in on this, and then at the end when we're done with this, I'll zoom it so you can take the notes, okay? Are these lines, is line K and line P perpendicular to each other? Yes or no? Yes. How do we know that? Because it has the box. So I'm going to put a check mark. Yep, we can assume that. It has a box. What if it did not have the box? You can't assume. Then you can't assume. Do A, B, and E form a unique plane? Here's a B. Can y'all all put a point for B? I don't know why it doesn't have a point right there. And same thing for A. There should be a point there. A, B, and E. Do they form a unique plane? What do we need in order to form a unique plane? 3. What kind of points? Yesterday was our warm-up. 3. Not perpendicular. Non-collinear. Are these 3 points non-collinear? Are they not in the same line? Right, but as long as all 3 of them don't go together. If 2 of them are in the same line, that's fine. But are all 3 of them in the same line? No. So, do they form a unique plane? No. Yeah, yep. Yes, because they are non-collinear. Write that down. They are non-collinear, so they form a unique plane. All right, I'm going to erase. Is line K and line R parallel? Are K and R parallel?
Yes. Oh. No.
Look on what side is parallel lines on. Does it have the little arrows there?
No, and because the R is stored, please.
They're both lines. Yep. So this is a no. We cannot assume that they are parallel. There is no extra arrow anywhere, so it does not work. They look like it, don't they?
Yeah.
But we can't assume. Is B No. Is D, everybody put a point on D. I don't know why D is missing a point. Is D between B and C? Is D on the line in between B and C?
Yes.
Yes. There's a line there connecting them. It is. Remember, betweenness, you can't assume. Betweenness works. Does BGA form a unique plane?
Oh, yeah.
BGA. What do you need to be a unique plane?
Hello. Non-collinear.
Are these non-collinear?
No.
No, what are they?
Collinear.
They're collinear. They're on the same line. So this one is a no because they're collinear. If they were non-collinear, that would work, but they're collinear. Hi, come in. What's your name?
Leslie.
Leslie, welcome. Is this your first date interview? On Tuesday, but because I'm first date. Okay. Okay, welcome. I'll take this and then you. Sorry, I'll give you this week. Yeah. You can sit anywhere over here, and then you have that worksheet. Have you been in school this week? No. Okay. Okay. Then you're good. If you can just start copying down, and then let me finish the lesson, and then I'll get started. Okay. All right. Is BD? Where's BD? BD is right here. Is BD? What's that symbol mean? Congruent. If you don't know, write that down. That symbol means congruent. What does congruent mean? Equal. Are they equal? Does BD equal the same as DC? Are they the same? No. Do we know? Could they be? Maybe, but we do not know because there are no tick marks, there are no numbers. Is F in the interior of the triangle? What's interior mean? Is F inside this triangle?
Yes.
Yeah. Remember, we can assume interior relative location. Is G the midpoint of AB? Is G in the middle of AB?
No.
Ooh, I heard a yes and a no. There are tick marks. Yes, because there are tick marks. If there were no tick marks, it would be a no. But because there are tick marks, it is a yes. I know that's a little confusing. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes. I want you to do numbers 1 through 5. Go. On the practice number 2, I want you to do 1 through 5. And my people that came in a little bit late, here are the notes for the top. You can copy down while everybody else is doing practice 2. Can you open the door for him, please? Just grab those notes so you can start taking notes. You have a pass? Okay. I'll give you about 1 more minute to answer 1 through 5. You're either doing check or writing no. My people that just came in or came in a little late, the left side is what you can assume in geometry. The number one rule of geometry is not to assume. So the left side is, again, kind of basic things. You can assume lines are straight. You can assume if they look like they're between, they are. If they look like they're all on the same line, they are. If they look like they're intersecting, they are. If it is inside, it is. On the right are the things you cannot assume unless you have extra information. You cannot assume things are congruent or things are bigger than one another or their size unless I give you tick marks or numbers. You cannot assume something is the midpoint unless I give you tick marks or numbers. Perpendicular lines has to have the little box. Parallel lines have to have arrows or they're not parallel. And then you cannot assume something is a square or an equilateral or isosceles triangle unless I tell you. I'm going to go over practice 2. If you have not written all this down, that's okay. I'll show you in a minute. Practice 2. Is line A parallel to line B? Are these parallel?
No.
Can we assume?
No.
No. Could they be? Maybe, but do we know?
No.
No. It has no types of arrows, so we don't know. It looks pretty good, but looks can be deceiving. Is line C perpendicular to line A? Are these two perpendicular? We cannot assume. What would it need?
A square.
A square. Is there any square on this paper?
No.
No, so nothing would be perpendicular because there's no little box. Are X and Z collinear points? Oh, let's put a thing on X and a point on Z. Yeah. Let's put one on Y too. They should all have a point right there. Are X and Z collinear? Are they on the same line? Yes. And again, this word collinear, it's on the assume side. So you know that. Ooh, what's that symbol mean again? Congruent. Are they the same?
Yeah.
Are XY, where's XY right here, and YZ down here, are they the same?
No.
Why not?
Because that one doesn't have a tick.
Because the bottom one doesn't have a tick mark. Do you see? Y'all saw that and you're like, oh, they have tick marks. It's a yes. But make sure you're paying attention to what it's asking. It was asking for the bottom YZ. Is the bottom YZ the same? That one is no. They both have to have tick marks. And last one, Y is on line A and C. Is Y on both line A and line C?
Yeah.
Yes.
Do we put this in the
So we are going to glue this into our notebooks. So if you can go to your table of contents, if you're new in this class, I want you to start your table of contents, please.
Do we name it geometry?
We're going to name it assume versus not assume. Again, if you're new in this class, if you can start your table of contents. Samuel, you had a notebook, right? Oh, Alex. Here's your notebook. Come get it. Leslie, do you have a composition notebook? Yeah, absolutely. Leslie, what high school are you coming from? Eisenhower? Okay. We could have this. All right, you can come here, Leslie.
I think I used to have.
Do you really? At home? You probably want to go get that. You have everything for you. We only change a couple things every year. Okay. You're gonna want to do table of contents for the first 2 pages, and then after that, just number them 1, 2, 3. We only number the right hand side.
You want me just to page 8 or?
Start at page 4 because you started at page 4. Yep. Start at page 4. Same thing for you, Jamon. Come on, babe. Start at page 4. All right, and then you are gluing. For everybody that does not know, in my class, these notebooks you get to use on every quiz. You get to use on your. Can you pass it? Oh, sorry. Can you pass it to her when you're done so y'all can share? Can you pass it to him so y'all can share? Just kidding. Basically, you use these notebooks on every single thing except a test, as long as you are gluing in and taking care of it. So please make sure you are doing that so that you,
No.
yep. All right, now we're going to go to do our Schoology assignment.